Ah, yes. We are officially in it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The summer movie season starts tonight. A Quiet Place Part 2 and Cruella, both coming out in theaters tonight. I got a chance to check out A Quiet Place Part 2 just last night. Also, I'm going to be previewing the summer movie season as a whole, getting off to a bit of a later start this year, but after last year, I'll take whatever I can get, and the fall's gonna be great this year. The fall is going to be excellent. The winter's going to be pretty good too. Summer comes first. Some big movies coming out. Gonna get into those. Why you should be back at the movies. I've felt nothing but safe at the movies. Also vaccinated, so that definitely helps. But it was just so nice to be seeing something that I was really heavily anticipating. Quiet Place Part 2 was actually my most anticipated movie of the entire summer. So this was just a blast. Even just the build-up for it. You know, getting to sit down in the theater and the anticipation of this is something you really want to see. Not just going to see something to see it. Big movies are coming back. So let's dive into it. Quiet Place Part 2. Before I talk about A Quiet Place Part 2, I think it's important for you to know what my opinion on the first Quiet Place was, because this movie picks up directly, like 10 seconds maybe, after the first movie ended. That one, a 2018 release, John Krasinski directed, Emily Blunt starring, and I absolutely loved this movie. I thought that it was tension does not quite describe it. It was so much more than that. John Krasinski, I don't think it was his directorial debut. I think he had like a family drama before then as well. But this was some good horror movie. And it was a horror movie that nobody expected, nobody saw coming. One of those movies where it's a hidden gem, and then everybody seems to find it. It was like Crazy Rich Asians came out that same year, right? A movie that started out as a hidden gem, and then it wasn't so hidden. Everybody knew about it to the point where it kind of became easy to hate on it. Shouldn't be. Great movie. Got it on Blu-ray. One of my favorites. I come back and I rewatched this quite a bit. It's a fun one. Now that I remember seeing it in theaters the first time. This was back when I still worked at a movie theater too. I had the entire auditorium to myself because I got to see it the night before it came out. My manager was really cool. I'm like, hey, you can check it out. So I had the entire building to myself, and I was terrified. I don't know if it was just I was in the right mood for it, having the whole place to myself, so it was dead quiet, fit the mood perfectly. This movie did things to me that no other horror movie had, and again, maybe having the whole place to myself added to it. I would not say that it didn't, but still, great first time watch, and every time I've gone back, John Krasinski's direction is fantastic. Emily Blunt is great. The kids are excellent. Marco Beltrami's score, hidden MVP of that movie. Fantastic. And everybody returns in this one. Krasinski's directing. Emily Blunt's the star. Same kids coming back. We're adding Killian Murphy. Marco Beltrami's back on the score. This movie, I was supposed to see it 3 days after everything shut down. Everything shut down kind of on a Thursday. Well, I was supposed to see it with a buddy of mine at an advanced screening the next Monday. I was so close to getting to see this movie, and it just so far away. So, again, yesterday was really rewarding because The Quiet Place Part 2 was kind of the beginning of the pandemic. It was the first thing that got ripped from me. Well, I guess March Madness was. But the first movie that got ripped away from me, and it hurt. So it was nice to be able to sit down and watch it. So, as for the movie itself, Quiet Place Part 2, Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmonds, Noah Jupe. Spoilers, John Krasinski's not on screen, except this movie opens up with the first 10 minutes, and it's day one. It's shown in the trailers. They open up with day one. And I gotta be honest with you, parts of this were really, really well done, but I thought it was a little bit underwhelming to start. That opening sequence, I would have liked to have seen, I don't want to say a little bit more mass hysteria, but I feel like people kind of figured it out, at least the people we're following, figured out the secrets a little bit too soon. That was just something that bothered me a little bit. I would have liked to have seen a lot more confusion and panic. There is a lot of that, and you do get to see some carnage, but I thought the first that sequence, I was really looking forward to that, and that kind of underwhelmed me a little bit. The rest of the movie, fantastic. I love The Quiet Place Part 2. I'll get to comparing it to the first one later and where it stacks up, but Krasinski, 2 for 2 with these movies, and his direction is really the star of this movie. John Krasinski is fantastic behind the camera. This guy knows exactly how to set up shots, when to leave scenes, when to come into scenes, how to build tension, and he has the sole writing credit on this movie. And there's a little bit more dialogue in this movie than in the first one, just a little bit. But it's more about the plot. And the thing that Krasinski understands, what he gets perfectly with this movie, with this story, is that it's about the family. It's about this set of characters. It's not about monsters or the apocalypse or anything like that. Yes, that has a lot to do with it, but it's the family that's driving the whole thing. They could be going through a number of different crises at the time. It's about the family. The other stuff, it's well done, but the family element is going to be what gets you in and out of this movie, and it's great. It is great. And I have to talk about the star in front of the camera, because in my opinion, this is the John Krasinski show. Great direction. There's a lot of, you see more of the creatures, the monsters in this movie, but it's not the monster show. There's a lot of stuff where it's focused on the characters, and then you see stuff in the background. Very well handled by John Krasinski. I am incredibly impressed. But let's talk about the star of this movie. Yeah, it's not Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt is a star in this movie, but the main character in this movie, Millicent Simmonds, and she is fan-frickin-tastic. She is great. I loved following her around in this movie. She is such a well-developed character. Everything she does, at least in my point of view, it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense to me. Millicent Simmonds is a tremendous young actress. I'm glad they got somebody to play a deaf character that is deaf. She was actually helping teach the cast and crew sign language. So really, efficient. You get somebody that can act tremendously and also help with something that's in the movie and learn a good skill set. She is tremendous. She sells everything. Such a great actress with her face. There's not a lot of dialogue. So there's a lot of facial gestures that you have to be able to sell, but maybe not oversell them. Get it just right. She's incredible, and she's able to sell pain and hope just perfectly. Just a great job by an absolute young talent in Millicent Simmonds. She was really good in the first movie, but in the second movie, she gets more to do. She knocks it out of the park. Props to her, and props to John Krasinski for giving her more to do in this movie, giving her more of an expanded role and not just settling on, hey, let's kind of just do the same. It is very similar to the first movie, but it breaks off and does a lot of different stuff in the similar setting. And making Millicent Simmonds the forefront of the movie was an excellent decision. You know what else was a great choice? Getting this guy in here, Killian Murphy. He's the best. He's one of the most underrated actors in Hollywood and has been for quite some time. Whether you go back to Batman Begins, Inception, he's been in a lot of my favorite movies. This guy is incredible. He plays just this broken down man who has lost absolutely everything. But he comes across the Abbott family, and he's helping him out with something. I loved him. I love Killian Murphy, and he fits into this world perfectly. From where you see him at first to where he ends up, I like the arc, and I like how you kind of get to learn a little bit more. Another guy who sells pain very well. And there's a scene with Killian Murphy about 2/3 of the way through this movie. I felt terrible for the guy. It's my favorite scene in the whole movie. You will know it when you see it. About 2/3 through this movie, Killian Murphy sees something and all hell breaks loose, and it is magnificent. John Krasinski, I love you, man. There's just the direction and everything involving that scene was just magnificent. Let's go back to Emily Blunt for a second, because again, she was really what you take away from the first movie. That bathtub scene, holy mother of God, it's terrifying. She was great in it. She takes a little bit of a back seat in this one. She still has plenty to do, and she is still absolutely fantastic. But I had a little bit of a problem with the fact that she didn't have much to... I mean, she's Emily Blunt, for God's sake. She is one of the best actresses in Hollywood. And she's John Krasinski's... Give her something to do. Give her a little bit more to do. And she has a few moments in this movie where... Maybe I don't like her character a ton. I like her acting, but actually when she gets things to say, maybe I just don't particularly like this character a ton. Like, wow, you are asking a lot of people that... Are you going to help out any at all? Like, can you please give somebody a hand with this? I know you have your own stuff that you're doing, but you are asking a lot. But she's Emily Blunt. She does a great job with it. I just wish that she had more to do. This kid, if you want a horror movie, do you want somebody that has the best horror face of 2021? All right. Guess who it is. If you guess this dizzy-looking kid here, Noah Jupe, you are absolutely correct. And that is probably the most confident and, full of swag that you'll see him in this entire movie. This kid looks terrified the entire time. I'm sorry. Some of the faces this kid made in this movie just had me cracking up. But it wasn't stupid. It made sense. I mean, he gets a raw deal in this thing, man. I feel like any real bad thing that happens in this movie happens to him. And some of it is, you're kind of a stupid kid, man. Quit doing dumb shit that puts everybody in danger. And some of it's just, oh man, you got the worst luck in this family. Well, maybe not the worst luck, but, the kid from the first one did hold a toy making noise up above his head like, hey, come get me. So I wouldn't really say that was luck. That was more just that kid being a complete doofus. Noah Jupe's great. I've loved him in everything I've seen him in. He was great in Wonder. He was great in Honey Boy, playing a young Shia LaBeouf, which absolutely should not be a thing, but somehow it works 100%. And then in this movie, in the first one, he does age about 4 years from the first one to the second one. At least he looks a good bit older, and it's like, hey, this is supposed to be, 15 minutes after the first one ended? You've aged a lot in those 15 minutes, man. What the hell? No, he's great, though, and again, what can you do about that? You're movie making, and John Krasinski, the star of this movie, who only has 5 minutes of screen time. just bravo, man. Bravo. I love you, my dude. Absolutely fantastic. Now, the comparison that everybody's going to make with John Krasinski is, how does he stack up versus Jordan Peele? We got the comedy, the guys known for comedy, Office, Key and Peele, whatever. Keanu. Not enough people have seen Keanu. That's a funny movie. How does he stack up? Well, right now I'd give the edge slightly to Jordan Peele. Also, he's been able to work with different types of atmospheres, I guess would be the word. Because Krasinski's only done the Quiet Place movies as far as horror goes, whereas Jordan Peele has done Get Out and Us. And I know they're probably going to be doing a trilogy. That's everything I've heard says this is going to be a trilogy. There's going to be a Quiet Place Part 3. But I really want to... And if there is, Krasinski needs to be directing it, or else it will not have the same feel and it will not be as good. But I really want to see what John Krasinski can do outside of this franchise. I'm sure he's going to be able to knock it out of the park, whatever it is. He has a great feel for setting atmosphere and winding up tension and just setting up characters that you care about, whatever the circumstances may be. And you can get a lot from his characters with very little dialogue and very little time. That's what I like about Krasinski. He showed good writing chops with this second one, too. I think the ending of this movie is similar to the ending of the first one. And the end of the first movie was something that kind of knocked it down a little bit for me. This was my 6th favorite movie of 2018, The First Quiet Place. But if the ending had been a little bit stronger, it would have been number 3. Only behind A Star is Born and The Favorite, which were my favorite movies, no pun intended, of 2018. I did like the first movie better than this one. I think that the first movie moves at a little bit of a smoother and, dare I say, quicker pace. And I also liked the family dynamic. How am I going to say this? The family dynamic in the first movie was really the strength of it. It's what really pulled me in. And while I don't want the second movie to follow the exact same formula and have everybody together, that's one of the reasons why Empire Strikes Back, among many, is, I think, better than the original Star Wars, is because they build on the stuff that happened and they don't just try to redo it and keep everybody together. Everybody kind of has different quests that they're on, but they're all working towards the same thing. And this movie has a very similar type of goal, but the first movie and the family dynamic and everybody being more or less together, fighting this enemy together, that was a big chunk of the appeal to me. And so the second movie lost a little bit of that. And that's for me personally. I know a lot of people aren't going to feel that way. Some people will like that there's a bit more to follow as opposed to just this one family. But nonetheless, tremendous movie. Tremendous movie. I'm going to give it an A-, a really high A-, like damn close to an A. Whereas the first one was an A that was just on the cusp of an A+. Great movie. Great movie. I cannot recommend this enough. If you have not been to a movie theater since the pandemic started, I think this is a fantastic way to get back in. Well, maybe not. Because if you want to get back in and you're like, let me get the popcorn I've missed. Let me get the drinks and the snacks. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy loudly chewing on popcorn in this movie, because you're going to be getting some dirty looks. I was so happy that nobody around me, there weren't a ton of people at this advanced screening. They didn't really do the best job of promoting it, but nobody got popcorn. Or at least everybody that ate the popcorn ate it with respect and decency, because I didn't hear anything. You know those people at the movie theater that chew with their mouth open or chew with the fire of 1,000 suns where everybody can hear it. I didn't have that. It was very nice. Brought me back to the time I saw the first movie and was pretty much holding my knees and shaking back and forth. That bathtub scene. I know I can't get pregnant. That's not an option for me. But it's still terrifying, and it got to me. That scene, nothing in this movie tops that. But there is a scene with Killian Murphy that gets close-ish. I mean, that's a high bar. The bar was set between that and the kid on the bridge in the first movie. This movie does have that same emotional setting that the first one did. There's a part that almost got me to cry, and if it had got me on a worse day, I'm sure it would have. I heard a few sniffles in the crowd. Emily Blunt, one of our best actresses working today. I just wish she had more to do. But Millicent Simmonds and Noah Jupe just looking... I'm sorry, this kid's face. I hope this kid becomes a meme. Like, I know that's not a good thing to wish on somebody, but I really hope this kid becomes a meme. Oh, that is his face at a 2 out of 10. And you get to see 10 out of 10 in this movie. And it is absolutely hilarious. Love this movie. Love that kid. But most of all, John Krasinski. You are one of our best talents. Never thought I'd be saying one of the best horror directors of our time would be Jim from The Office and Fartrell Cluggins from Key and Peele. Man, the world we live in does not make any sense. If you needed any more proof of that, yeah, just go outside. Doesn't make any sense. But I'm here for it in this regard. All right. So I will be seeing another movie very soon, and I'm excited for it, but the excitement has kind of started to dim just a little bit as I'm hearing some mixed things about it. And this is going to kick off our 2021 summer movie season preview. Be back in just a second to begin it, talking about this. All right. So, the first of the big summer movies, apart from A Quiet Place Part 2, which I just finished talking about for anyone that's just joining, we have Cruella. This is a spin-off, reimagining. I don't know the particular verbiage that Disney's using. It's kind of all over the place. Starring Emma Stone, Emma Thompson, Emma Watson, Emma Roberts. No, I think it's just the two Emmas, but, you know, let's get more for the sequel. Paul Walter Hauser, Richard Jewell, and the guy from I, Tonya, which, by the way, the director of this movie made I, Tonya, and I, Tonya is just a great movie. If you haven't seen I, Tonya, I wouldn't say get up off your ass. Get back on your ass. Sit down. I think it's on Hulu. Definitely a movie worth checking out. Cruella, the story about Cruella de Vil. I've heard mixed things about this. I've heard it's definitely darker than you would expect a Disney live-action movie to be. But it also doesn't quite feel like Cruella de Vil. Things happen just suddenly, and it's way too long. It's like damn near 2.5 hours, which, yeah, that is way too long for a movie like this. But nonetheless, Emma Stone is, and I want the camera on me when I say this. Okay. Emma Stone is the best actress working in Hollywood right now. Yep, that's my personal opinion. Emma Stone, I won't say Emma Stone can do no wrong, but when Emma Stone is at the top of her game, no one's passing her. And yeah, I'm not talking about like Meryl Streep. I'm talking about within a certain age range, that's like 20 to 50. I don't know why I qualified it like that. Because when I think Meryl Streep, I don't think of Meryl Streep right now. I think of her movies from like the 80s and 90s and stuff. I'm not thinking about Into the Woods. I'm thinking about like Sophie's Choice. So that's why I clarify it. Amy Adams would be up here, but I still have the taste in my mouth of The Woman in the Window, which is just a complete piece of trash. Scarlett Johansson's very good too. She had an excellent 2019. Can't wait to see Black Widow. We'll get to that soon too. Horror movies, horror sequels. We got more of them coming. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, one of the worst titles in film this year, coming out on June 4th. This one's going to be a simultaneous HBO Max and theater debut. This is also not from James Wan, who directed The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2. It's from the guy that gave us The Curse of La Llorona, a movie that is just awful, just terrible. Would have been my worst movie of 2019 had Cats not came out. So I'm slightly less enthused about this one, despite the fact that I really liked The Conjuring, and I loved The Conjuring 2. I actually think The Conjuring 2 is the better movie, at least to me. I know I am definitely in the minority on this. I feel like people are tired of Conjuring, though. They've made 3 Annabelle movies. They've made a La Llorona movie. They made The Nun. I don't know how much Conjuring how much more they can squeeze out of this IP. Because just about every spinoff has been awful. The Annabelle sequels have been solid. I haven't seen the first Annabelle movie, but The Nun and The Curse of La Llorona are terrible. I think they might have gone to the well one too many times with this. I'm still excited because it is a Conjuring movie, and Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga are great as these characters. But it's a different director, a director that has really let me down before. And James Wan is just such a horror master of his craft. He has a movie coming out in September or October called Malignant. I'm looking forward to that because James Wan's at the helm. This, we'll see. We'll see. I have my reasons to doubt, but I also have my reasons to be excited. Then we have Spirit Untamed. Why is this happening? It's the sequel to, I don't know if any of you remember that movie, Stallion of the, is it the Cimarron? Cameroon? Cinnamon? I have no idea. I never saw the movie. I just know that it was a DreamWorks release back in like 2002 that didn't do particularly well. Most of the people that saw it liked it all right. I never saw it. They're making a sequel to it nearly 20 years later. And it looks completely different. That's a completely different animation style. It is not the hand-drawn stuff that they were doing back in the early 2000s. Who's it for? I don't know anyone that was clamoring for this. I mean, the animation, let's go back to that. That looks like something that would be on Nick Jr. Why is it not like a Peacock exclusive? Since DreamWorks, I think they're owned by NBC Universal, and yeah. And they're doing that with a later release in the summer that we'll get to. It just looks like something that doesn't really warrant to watch. But I could be wrong. All right. This one I'm hearing great things about. I'm really looking forward to it. June 11th, Lin-Manuel Miranda's In the Heights. Directed by the guy that made Crazy Rich Asians. I think it's one of Lin-Manuel Miranda's plays. This thing has a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm taking that with a grain of salt because these type of movies really get propped up by Rotten Tomatoes. I've been let down by it before, but I have faith in the cast. I have faith in the people behind the movie, and I have faith in the trailers and stuff that I've heard. Or the stuff that I've seen, rather. But also the stuff that I've heard. I'm not going to go back on that because the music that I've heard in the trailers looks really good. It looks like a very bombastic, fun musical that has a lot of interesting sets. And it's got, this nice, lush cinematography. It looks like it's the choreography in this looks like it is on point. I still need to watch Hamilton. I'm sure I'm going to do that before In the Heights comes out. Or maybe I shouldn't, because then I'll compare it. No, I still need to watch Hamilton because everybody and their mother has been telling me that I need to watch Hamilton. I'm going to do that before In the Heights. In the Heights, nonetheless, one of my most anticipated movies of the summer. I think it's going to be a great time. I haven't had a musical like this to watch in a while. It's been some time. So I'm ready to get back into it. I love musicals when they're done well. But musicals when they suck are the worst things on planet Earth. So you have to get really talented people who are passionate about their craft and have a vision that makes sense. Not Cats. Next up, also coming out on June 11th, Peter Rabbit 2. I kind of liked the first Peter Rabbit. It was one that Sony Pictures Animation was coming off of the Emoji Movie. So hopes were not high, and the main voice was James Corden. And I don't like James Corden at all, but this movie did manage to make me laugh. I don't expect the second one to, because most times when there's a first movie that comes out and it exceeds your expectations, your really low expectations, and they make a sequel, the sequel ends up being everything that you feared the first movie would be. So I don't have high expectations. We'll see what happens, though. I also don't think it's going to be terrible. I just think it's going to be a movie that I just kind of nothing. Speaking of just kind of nothing, the hitman's bodyguard's cousin's boyfriend's wife, or whatever the hell they're calling it. The Hitman's Bodyguard came out in 2017. It was a movie that I was really looking forward to. Trailers looked very, very funny. And then the movie came out, and it was just kind of a big nothing. But it did well financially, apparently, and we're getting a sequel with Ryan Reynolds, Samuel L. Jackson, and Selma Hayek all returning. And the trailers for this one don't look anywhere near as funny as the first one did. I have no expectations for this. June 18th, I'm sure it'll get people to come out, and I am glad that it's coming out, and I'll tell you why. Comedy movies are dying. They're all going like straight to Netflix, or they're just not coming out. Comedy movies, they just don't make them anymore. Like 2019, I can't remember a single like pure comedy movie. I'm not talking about like The Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that. I'm talking about an actual comedy. I know this is like action comedy, but if you really like 22 Jump Street is action comedy, but it's a comedy movie first. And The Hitman's Bodyguard was a comedy movie first. So I'm glad that a comedy movie is coming out, because 2018 had like Game Night and Tag, and I liked those movies, but they were like the only comedies to come out. And then 2019 had nothing, and then 2020 the world shut down. So we need comedies to be coming out again. I hope this delivers and we get more comedy movies coming out. We need that. But I don't have much expectation for this. Oh, this one might let me down. But I hope it doesn't. I just want to have a good time, man. I just want to have fun. I just want to get fat and stupid. I want to shove popcorn in my mouth and drink all the sodas and have a good time watching Vin Diesel punch cars in the face. That's what I want. That's what I want out of... What's this movie? F9? That's a key on my laptop. That's not a title for a movie. Come on. Try. But everything I've seen from the trailers, it looks like it's going to be that brand of stupid that I want from the Fast and Furious movies. I'm not asking for quantum physics. I'm not even asking for second grade math. I want the dumbest stuff you can possibly throw at me. That's what I want out of these movies. That's what they've become. They've been really fun when they do that. I'm turning my brain all the way off when I go into F9. Please deliver. All the stupid. All of it. I want it. You can't give me too much. I really want it. I've missed it. That was one that when everything got shut down, I'm like, man, I got to wait an extra year to see how they're going to go to space. Because they're going to go to... There's no way they don't go to space. They've all but said it. They're going to damn space. In the Fast and Furious, the first movie, they were like stealing DVD players. Now they're going to space, and there's a magnet plane. Whoever wrote this, I love you. And you might be the dumbest person on the planet, but I love you for it. Here's an independent movie that... Not F9. This is an independent movie called Zola that's based on a Twitter thread. I don't think... That's a first. Don't think I've ever heard of that one before. A movie based on a Twitter thread. And I've read the whole Twitter thread. It's long as hell. It's like 109 tweets. Or at least it felt that way. It's a bizarre-ass story, though, and I am glad they're making a movie out of it because it is weird. If you have not read the Twitter thread, look up Zola. I'm sure you can find it. I did when this debuted at, I want to say, Sundance in 2020 before the world went to hell. This comes out in late June, and I'm just curiosity. That's what got me with this one. Just curiosity. If you don't know about it's a famous Twitter thread. That's the world we live in now. We have a famous Twitter thread and a movie's getting made on it. 2 strippers go down to Florida and the craziest stuff. People die and yeah. No, it's a bizarre Twitter thread. But check it out if you haven't. Speaking of bizarre, and a bizarre that I don't particularly like, July the 2nd, we get this brand of stupid. The Forever Purge. I knew they were going to do this at some point. A day where everybody can kill each other and commit crime and steal and murder and rape. Yeah, somebody's going to be like, yeah, once the siren goes off, I'm still doing all this. Of course that was going to happen. Duh. I'm not the biggest fan of these Purge movies. I liked the second one when they turned Frank Grillo into the Punisher. I really liked the second one. That was a fun movie, and I was way caught off guard because every other Purge movie's not good, and this one looks awful. I don't know who lit the damn movie, but just from the trailer, it looks like one of those direct-to-DVD movies you find in the $5 bin at Walmart, like all the way down at the bottom. And you go, holy hell. This was a movie that was made, and they let people see it in the public eye? That's what the Forever Purge looks like. I'm not looking forward to it, but I will see it nonetheless. Because, again, my approach with movies is you have to earn the right to talk crap about it. If you don't feel that way, that is more than fine. I'm curious. If everybody says it's bad, well, I can take their word for it, or I can make my own opinion about it. Somebody says it's good, great. I want to know. I want to make my own opinion. I want to see if the Forever Purge... Because the Purge Anarchy was one where I'm like, yeah, that's going to suck. I still watched it, and I really liked it. Earn the right to talk your crap. Or maybe be surprised by something. And you end up liking it. But also coming out, we got a great combo here. If you don't want to see the Forever Purge, you can see The Boss Baby 2. Why is that happening? Who the hell wanted to see a sequel to The Boss Baby? I saw the first Boss Baby. Somehow it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to. It wasn't good. It was a very forgettable movie, but it somehow made a lot of money. So we got a sequel, and this one is a theater release, but it's also going straight to Peacock. I think you have to pay like $8 for it on Peacock or something. So it's basically the same price as a movie theater ticket if you go to a cheap theater. Honestly, tickets are more like $12, $13 these days. Boss Baby 2, I'm going to have to sit in a group of... I'm going to have a Purge Boss Baby double feature. It's going to be the weirdest double feature of my life. No, it won't be the weirdest double feature of my life because, again, I go see everything. That's just what I do. I like to have an opinion. And I had a double feature, and I did this with a friend of mine too, so it was even weirder because I was with somebody else. A double feature of Peter Rabbit and 50 Shades Freed. I still feel weird as I felt icky. I had to go home and take a shower after that. That's just the weirdest double feature. But this one might come close. It might come close to topping that one. All right, we're into July now, which means we're back in the MCU, baby. Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, Rachel Weisz. Why am I forgetting David Harbour? David Harbour. Love that guy. He's definitely still alive and coming back for Stranger Things Season 4. There's no doubt about that. As far as MCU movies go, this isn't one that I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to see it. It's going to be fantastic. This isn't Endgame. This isn't Spider-Man Homecoming where I'm just like, oh my God, or Guardians 2 where I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I'll sell a kidney to see this right now. No, but it's still an MCU movie. And anything MCU is going to have me excited. Going to be there. Big old bucket of popcorn. God, I really need to start running before we go back to these movies. I didn't have anything to eat at Quiet Place 2 because I didn't want to be that guy loudly munching on popcorn. I need to start running again because I'm going to be having the popcorn and the butter and, treadmill, here we come. Because there's going to be a lot of stuff where you get the popcorn, the soda, going to be with a bunch of people. MCU opening nights are fun. A lot of fun. And I think Black Widow is going to be a good movie. And I'm very fascinated to see how they use Florence Pugh, who is one of the best young talents currently working. I mean, she is great. 2019 belonged to Florence Pugh before it belonged to anybody else. Maybe Scarlett Johansson, since she got nominated for 2 Oscars. And oh, look, they share the screen together in this movie. Can't wait. The MCU coming back to a big screen. We've had it on the small screen for quite a while now, but I've missed it. If I knew that Spider-Man Far From Home was going to be the last MCU movie I saw for 2 years, I would have seen it so much more in theaters. And I saw it 3 times. So don't judge. I saw Endgame like 8 times. My only regret is I didn't see it more. I don't think I'll be seeing this movie that many times, though. Space Jam, A New Legacy. I'm not the biggest fan of the first Space Jam movie, though. It's just not really my thing. I'll be honest. Not really my thing. And this movie, if it's about LeBron James going through time to like Instagram or something, like someone leaked that it might be about, this could be the worst movie of the year. And LeBron James, as we've seen lately in the NBA, he's trying to get those acting chops. He's not good at it, but he's trying. I liked him in Trainwreck. He wasn't in the movie a whole lot, but I thought he was very funny in that movie. But, yeah, if LeBron on the court trying to sell fouls like he's Cristiano Ronaldo or something is any indication, I don't know if he's got the chops for this, man. But it could be fun. I'm about to sound really dumb. The colors in this movie look really cool and pretty. They do. It looks like a very colorful movie. This would be a fun movie to like look at in Dolby. Be very fun. That's how I'm gonna have to see this movie. Maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe it'll be really good, and I'll have to eat my words. And I will if it's good. I will. I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Well, my opinion was this." I'm sticking to it. No, if I like the movie, I will sit back here and say I was wrong. The trailers, all of that, didn't give me the right opinion of the movie. I took the wrong thing away from it, but I can tell you, it's good. I'm never going to hold on to an opinion just because I had it first. I'll adjust as I need to. There's another one here called The Night House with Rebecca Hall. I don't know a whole lot about it. I saw a trailer for it once, and it looked decent. But a lot of horror movies tend to sneak up on you like that. So I put it up here. Could be a sleeper hit. Could be a sleeper hit for, I like Rebecca Hall quite a bit. Next up, we're getting into late July now. G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes. Why is this happening? I like Henry Golding. I'm a big Henry Golding fan. Like just about everything he's been in. But why are they making this movie? It looks cheap. I hope it's better than the trailers made it out to be. We also have Hotel Transylvania 4. Why is that happening? I'm going to say something I never thought I would say. Why are you making this? Adam Sandler's not here. Yeah, they got someone else to voice Dracula. Adam Sandler worked as Dracula. And I don't even like these movies, but I liked him in it. And they're making a fourth one? What's the point of that? They're doing like a Freaky Friday version of this movie. Why is this happening? Speaking of why is this happening, something you see a lot of people saying at the end of M. Night Shyamalan movies, he has the movie Old coming out, which there should be a new trailer for any minute now. A movie where this beach makes you old. That's the premise of the movie. It could be horrifying, but it's also made by M. Night Shyamalan. I'm not going to hold my breath. Dev Patel starring in an indie movie, The Green Knight. I also don't know a whole lot about that, even from the trailer. Everybody's telling me I should be excited for it. So, all right, I'll be excited for it. Early August. I'm pumped for this one. The Suicide Squad. And I'm surprised I'm pumped for this. Because it's a Suicide Squad movie. And the last time I saw a Suicide Squad movie, I hated it. It was awful. But they have James Gunn making this one pretty much a whole new cast of characters. Except for Harley Quinn and Viola Davis. It looks like it has a whole new energy to it. Love John Cena as Peacemaker so far. And Sylvester Stallone as, King Shark? This looks a lot more fun than the first one did. Ryan Reynolds in Free Guy, August 13th. I've been seeing trailers for this. Again, this was supposed to come out last May. I just think this is going to be a really fun, charming movie. I'm really excited for this. Ryan Reynolds he can just sell this kind of thing so well. It's a movie about a character in a video game. It's like if the Lego movie, but real life. I'm really pumped for this, actually. I can't quite justify how excited I am for this, but I'm excited for it. Then we have the Aretha Franklin movie Respect, where Aretha Franklin's going to be played by Jennifer Hudson. That looks good. I don't know why it's coming out in mid-August. It should be an awards contender type thing. So that has me a little bit concerned. But Jennifer Hudson as Aretha Franklin, can you really cast too much better than that? Then late August, Candyman. I can't pronounce the Yaya Abdul Mateen II, I think is his name. He was in the HBO series Watchmen. He was in Aquaman. He was in Us really briefly. A remake of Candy. I never saw the original Candyman. But this movie looks like it has the exact horror atmosphere that I would love. So it's going to be a lot of holding the knees and looking away. This could be a brutal movie, but in all the right ways. Really excited for this one. And then you have two horror sequels. There's Escape Room 2, which comes out mid-July, and they just released a trailer for it today. I honestly didn't think this movie was going to come out in July. I thought they were going to keep pushing it, but I guess they found a date for it. I did not like the end of Escape Room. I thought that the first hour and 10 minutes or so were solid and a good time. A great premise for a horror movie. An escape room that you can't escape and is actually a trap. And you have to find out the clues to actually get out of it. That is an amazing premise for a horror movie. And now they're making this like the damn Hunger Games, and I'm tired of it and don't really care to see it, but I will. And then you have Don't Breathe 2. Why is that a thing? Seemed like a pretty standalone type thing. What is it going to be like? Don't breathe harder? I don't get it. The first movie was so good, so intense, Such a great premise. Again, why a sequel? Oh, because the first one made money. And who cares if we have a vision? It's all about the money. Oh, I forgot about this one. And just about everybody else has too. Late July, Jungle Cruise. How did I forget about a movie with The Rock and Emily Blunt in it? Because it looks forgettable. It does. But I've said that about Rock movies before. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle was amazing. And I was not looking forward to that in the slightest. So, hopefully I'm surprised again. Hopefully I am surprised again. All right, I'm going to jump into real quickly the MVPs and LVPs of Game 2s across the NBA before signing off for the day. I'll be back in about 10 seconds, but I'll leave you with this beast right here. Then I'll be back to discuss. All right, let's talk Bucks Heat Game 2 of the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. Giannis Antetokounmpo is my number 2 MVP of the weekend, or rather of Game 2s. 31 points, 13 rebounds. The Bucks shot 22 of 53 from 3. Giannis, again, 31 points he didn't even have to play the second half. This game was done by the time the first quarter wrapped up. They led 46-20 after the first quarter. That's done deal. Done deal. Chris Middleton, 17 points on 5 shots. Hella efficient. Jimmy Butler. Well, let's get into him. He's my LVP number 1. Game 2s. 10 points on 4 of 10 shooting, and you see him there looking like, damn it, I just let Giannis dunk on me again. This is not the same intensity. It's not even the same guy that we saw in the bubble last year. And I didn't think that the bubble was the whole ordeal because he was great in the regular season. Again, if you would have made him first team, wouldn't have complained. But it just has he's gone 8 for 32 so far in the playoffs. Jimmy Butler's got to have a bigger presence than that if the Miami Heat are going to do anything. And my big takeaway from this game is that the Milwaukee Bucks are out for blood. And the Miami Heat just can't match the same intensity that they had last year. That's the type of game. Again, 132-98. That's a game that's really tough to pick yourself up off the canvas and get ready to defend home court now. It's tough. It's tough. All right. Nikola Jokic. That is my number 3 MVP of Game 2s as the Nuggets win 128-109. Jokic 38 points on 15 of 20 shooting. Damian Lillard also put on a show with 42 points, 9 of 16 from 3, 8 of those threes coming in the first half. However, an LVP comes 2. My LVP number 2, and that's Jusuf Nurkic, the guy defending Jokic. I mean, there's no resistance. Jokic just gets whatever he wants. And in the first game, that wasn't a problem because nobody else was hitting anything, and Portland was getting mad bench contributions. But in Game 2, it really reared its ugly head because Portland wasn't getting the same type of offensive production from guys like Carmelo Anthony and Anthony Simons. And meanwhile, Nikola Jokic is just waltzing to the bucket whenever he damn well pleases in this game. Jusuf Nurkic definitely got to step it up as they go back to Portland for Game 3. Brooklyn Nets 130, Boston Celtics 106. Joe Harris had a day, 7 of 10 from 3. I told you the Nets were going to be shooting a lot better as the series progressed. 25 points for him. Durant 26 points on 8 of 12 shooting. Harden 20 points on 6 of 12 shooting. This is just too much for the Boston Celtics, especially without Jaylen Brown. No real depth to the Celtics. this series could be over in 4. Would not surprise me one bit. Lakers 109, Suns 102. Anthony Davis right there looking like he just got ran over by a car tire. 34 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Anthony Davis, everybody was telling him he needed to step up and be better than he was in Game 1. And in the first half, it looked like you didn't hear the message. Second half, loud and clear. Anthony Davis dominated, got to the free throw line, a presence in the paint. DeAndre Ayton still getting what he wants, though. 22 points, 10 boards, and 11 to 13 shooting. So Ayton's still putting up good numbers. But Davis was as well. He was definitely more interested in this one. Dennis Schroeder playing a lot better as well. 24 points on 8 of 16 shooting. Still need Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to be able to knock down some timely threes. But with Chris Paul hurt, and this game, the series, going back to the Staples Center, 1-1, Suns are really behind the 8 ball here. All right, Mavericks 127, Clippers 121, and the big MVP of Game 2s, and the best player in the playoffs so far, that being one Luka Doncic. This man owns the Clippers right now. 39.7 rebounds, 7 assists on 16 of 29 shooting, doing whatever he damn well pleases. But the good thing about Game 2 is Porzingis showed up. 20 points on 8 of 12 shooting. But the number 2 guy for Dallas so far this series, one Tim Hardaway Jr. He had 28 points, hit 6 of 8 threes, including a dagger with about a minute to play to put the Clips away for good. Luka and the Mavericks are rolling right now, the type of way that I could see them getting to the Western Conference Finals. This Mavericks team sneaking up on folks. Can't even put this on Paul George. He had 28 points and 12 boards. Kawhi, a great game for Kawhi. Maybe the best since he joined the Clippers. 41 points on 21 shots. But the rest of the team just is not up to snuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kawhi Leonard is looking at the exit door in Los Angeles. Speaking of the exit door, that is exactly what the Washington Wizards are going to be leaving out of shortly. The Sixers with a 120-95 win over the Washington Wizards. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid each with 22 points. Tobias Harris with 19. Russell Westbrook just 10 points on 10 shots, left with an injury. The Wizards are just overmatched here. They played their best possible game in Game 1 and still lost. Lost by about 7-8 points, too. Sixers, this is just a talent disparage that Sixers have been taken advantage of. And a lot. New York Knicks, 101. Hawks, 92. Hawks led by 13 points at the half. Had all the momentum, and then the second half, nobody not named Trae Young could hit the ocean. Derrick Rose, 26 points, really led the charge to get the New York Knicks back, along with Julius Randle, who had a big second half. Trae Young played fantastically once again with 30 points on 11 of 20 shooting. But the number 3 LVP of the Game 2s. Now, I have it on DeAndre Hunter, but this is more just the supporting cast. Trae Young was great. DeAndre Hunter had plenty of opportunities to hit big shots and missed all of them in the second half. He went 3 of 10. Bogdanovich was 2 of 13 from 3, and Gallinari was 2 of 10. The Atlanta Hawks supporting cast has to be better if the Hawks are going to move past the first round, past the New York Knicks, and win in Madison Square Garden. They got big plays from Bogdanovich in Game 1, and as a Knicks fan, it scares me. Lou Williams was really big in Game 1 as well. Not quite the same level of output from Lou in Game 2. Trae Young's a beast, and he can put up 30 or 40 points whenever he wants to. But somebody else has to help if the Hawks are going to get to round 2. And finally, good to see this man back on the court. Jazz 141, Grizzlies 129 in a game where defense was optional. Donovan Mitchell, been out for, I want to say, a month and a half. 25 points. But this was about the team. Because the entire Utah Jazz, this is why they were the 1 seed, because the team plays so well together. Mike Conley, much better. 20 points, 15 assists. Rudy Gobert, 21 points, 13 rebounds. Bogdanovich, an efficient 18 points. Jordan Clarkson, 16 off the bench. Ingles, 14 off the bench. The Jazz getting contributions from everyone. Hell, that's why they put up 141 points. It didn't all come from one guy. The wealth was definitely being spread. However, can't take away from the Memphis Grizzlies. I think this is going to be a rock fight. Might be an offensive rock fight, but it's going to be back and forth. Because John Morant is here for this moment. He had 47 points on 15 of 26 shooting, and Dylan Brooks also a really efficient 23. The Memphis Grizzlies, yeah, they weren't quite ready for Donovan Mitchell in Game 2. He also came out a lot better than I expected. I thought he might try to ease his way back in, and he did no such thing. He went right at Dylan Brooks right away, got him into some early foul trouble, and got the crowd going. It was really fun to watch. But the Memphis Grizzlies, this is going to be a fun series. I've definitely underestimated the Memphis Grizzlies, and to any Grizzlies fans that might see this, I apologize. I've underestimated the Memphis Grizzlies. I really want them to go and get John Morant some help and get him some wing guys that, Dylan Brooks is great. Keep him around, but Jaren Jackson Jr. ain't it. He drafted him really high, but I just don't think, between staying healthy and, he's a non-presence on the board, doesn't really shoot as well. I really want Memphis to get, because John Morant is something special. Get him some help. The Memphis Grizzlies are going to have something for years to come that's going to be really, really fun to watch. Well, coming this weekend, I'm going to be talking more about the NBA playoffs and how fun they are, and hopefully we get some more great games. It's been pretty good so far. I'm also going to be reviewing Cruella. I get to see that in the next few days. And I'm going to be putting out I just finished scripting my Worst Songs of 2011 podcast. Going to be recording that over the next few days, and I'll have that out very, very soon. Thanks for watching.